Stephanie. Welcome and welcome back to Quilting Beauty and Books, my corner of YouTube. I pray that you and your family are all doing well today and that you enjoy today's video. Today, guys, as you can see, we are back out in my quilt studio. I am working on some Christmas quilts and I have to get these babies done. I would love to get them done by Thanksgiving, so that is the goal. We shall see. I at least wanted to start it early enough so that I'll be sure that they have them the week prior to Christmas. The quilt that I'm working on is called the Jelly Roll Race Quilt. I am making 3 of them. I'm making one in this color right here. This is considered turquoise. I'm making a blue one and I'm also making a pink one. This one doesn't have the borders on it yet, so it's incomplete. This quilt is made up of strips of fabric. Those strips of fabric is called a jelly roll. A jelly roll looks like this when it's purchased, nice tightly bundled. This is a designer's collection. Usually they consist of 40 to 42 2.5-inch strips. And once you open up this bundle, this is the blue one, it looks like this. Nice and pretty, lush fabrics. I love fabric. So the first step in this process is that I have to go ahead and remove the selvage ends off of each piece. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that, leaving the strips in this order because sometimes it may not be 40 pieces of fabric in that designer's collection. So sometimes they have to repeat. And this way, once they do repeat, they won't be close together. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the selvage ends off, and then I will change camera angles and we'll get started. Okay guys, I'm taking the first strip of fabric, I'm taking the second one, because these are considered batiks, meaning they don't have a right or wrong side, or you might want to use a more pigmented side. It really doesn't matter. That I am going to put right sides together, and this one I am doing just like the turquoise one. I'm making straight seams. So what I need to do is go ahead and sew a 1/4-inch seam from the edge of these strips. So I'm gonna do that to make one long strip. It'll average out to about 1,600 inches of strip of fabric. So I'll get started, and then the rest of it will be soothing music playing as I zoom along. The first one is done, and what the technique I'm doing is called strip piecing. You might hear my dog on the outside barking because, as you may not know, that my studio is in our carport or garage area. So I take the end of the top strip and I will be taking the 3rd piece of fabric, again, right sides together. And the newer strip is always on top. Again, place them together, make sure it's even. You just don't push it through. Let the feed dogs go ahead and take the fabric for you, and that way your seam won't get off. I am known to doing that. I've tried very hard not to do that, but hopefully my seams have gotten a lot better over the months. So with using that technique. This is the last one that I will be sharing with you before the music begins. Okay, cue the music. Then I'm gonna take off my leader and place it back in the machine. And a leader is so your fabric won't bunch up in the beginning and create a mess up with your in your machine, and also on your fabric. It can actually tear or destroy your fabric if it's, you know, jammed in there pretty good. So this technique prevents that. Okay, here is the beginning of my strip. And what I need to do is find the very, very end of it out of this pile. So, and it's very important that you make sure, see, it's all one piece now. Let me show you. And it's very important that we want to make sure that we are looking at the right side, and it's very easy to tell which side is the right side now versus the not right side because of the seam. This is considered the right side, and this is the wrong side where the seam is. So I need to make sure that I am grabbing the right side. I'm gonna anchor this right quick. Okay, we are coming close to the end of this fabric, and voila. I know. So what I'm gonna do is try to keep this bundle, no. Like that. Whew. Now I know that my pieces are together, and there's one other thing that I need to do right quick before I even get started. I'll keep that like that down. I need to take off 18 inches off of this first strip. So the only thing I have to do now is go down the entire 1600 inches. When it was single, now I'm about to double it. So it's about 800 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I am at the end, finally, of this piece. I'm gonna just sew some more before I get to the end and cut this in half. Because in this, you never want to sew all the way to the end, because you need to cut that end to bring up the side again to the beginning like we did before, to the front of the strip. Make sure that that's under there. Okay, so this is a good stopping point to cut. Make sure, sorry, I got papers. Make sure this is straight as possible. I like to crease mine and then open it up and cut it. Okay. And then now I can sew straight to the end when it has that fold in there, like when you turn over fabric, it has that loop. You don't want to sew through that, but once you cut it, you can go ahead and sew it all the way to the end. Now I can take it off, open it up, and we have two strips together. Now what I'm gonna do, see, as you can see, I'm opening it up and it's looking quite cute. So what I'm gonna do is, now the length of it is about 800. I'm going to go ahead and go to the beginning of this strip again. And as you can see, I'm just keeping my finger on it to separate it. So this is my way of making sure that the fabric is not folding, because before, like I seen in other videos, the ladies, they just go grab the pieces, and well, that was giving me heartache. That was not working for me. So I can just open this up and just let my fingers run through it and call it the day, you know, and then I know for sure at the end it will not be twisted. Coming close to the beginning, and here we are. And now only thing I have to do now is line up everything just like before. 1/4 inch seam down the length. Okay, I am nearing the end of this piece. When I sewed these two together, once I cut them, it will soon be 4 pieces side by side, or 4 rows, I should say. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut. Now I can sew all the way off the edge. Voila! Now it's, when I sewed it, it is the 2 rows. 2 on each side, so when I open it, it is now 4 rows. You can see that. 1, 2, 3, 4. rows, yes. Again, this is the last time that I have to sew down the top, along the sides of a seam, along sides of a strip, I should say. And then the quilt top will be complete. I am at the end again, and this is the very last time. This quilt top will be the same as that one, just needing the borders, but I'm not there yet. Okay, I'm gonna stop so I can do the cutting, make sure that it's ready. Now that it's cut, I can go ahead and sew straight off the edge. Okay, voila. So instead of being 16 strips, it is now 32. It is complete. Let me try to stand up and show you guys. This angle is horrible. I know. But yes, baby, yes, it is done. There you see, yay! Now onto the pink one. As you guys can see, I am working on the pink one. And I'm doing this one just a little bit different. Instead of the straight seam that I've been doing, like putting the two together and sewing one straight line. Actually, I am doing what is called a technique that we use for binding. So instead of it being a straight up and down seam, it will be seam. It's going to be a diagonal seam. So, excuse me. So I'm working on my last 3. This one is a little bit more time consuming when you do it like this, but once you do it, do the strips, attach them together like that, I wouldn't have to do it like that again. The rest of the seams will be straight seams, but it's time consuming doing the strips like this, but the outcome is cute. Very cute, very, very cute. So again, just taking the strips, putting it on a diagonal. Last one, and then I get this unsnip them, snip them apart, and then again it'll be one long strip. Okay, all the seams are done. I have some pins in some of them. So now I'll just have to separate them. And I'll show you on this one, and then I will speed it up. Instead of the seam being straight like that, now it is, when you open it, it will be on the diagonal. It'll probably be easier to show you on one that is a little bit lighter. So hold on one second. I will get to one. And what I'm doing is just cutting the 1/4 inch seam, so it won't have a lot of bulk. Get to one. I'll show you in just a sec. This one got enough contrast. This one has enough contrast. So you see it's a diagonal versus straight up and down. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is continue to snip and cut the seam allowance for these diagonals, and I'll be right back. Okay, now I get to sew a straight seam just like before, all the way down. Okay, I am creating the outer border. These are cut 4.5 inches, so when they're sewn into the quilt, they'll be 4-inch borders. I already did the inner borders, the exact same process. Right now, I'm making it to one long strip, so when I go to cut them, they will already, be sewn together. Because how big this quilt is, it's still considered a lap size quilt. It needs to have some strips sewn together. So it's easier just to make one big strip and cut what you need off of it. And what I'm doing now is these can't be, well, you could make them the straight across, but when you do a diagonal, it hides the seam a little bit better, and that's why I'm doing it on a diagonal. But what I'm doing is, like on the small squares, I can just eyeball it, and I have a piece of tape to help me guide on my the bed of my sewing machine. But when it's on large strips like this, I have to draw a line to help me, sew a little bit easier. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and move that out the way. Go ahead and start sewing these strips, and I'm gonna do all 3 of them at the same time so I can get this part done. The only thing I had to do after that is cut the strips the size that I need, and I put them on the quilt, and then our quilt top will be done. Hallelujah. we are adding our very last border. And what I had to do was take the border, once I cut it, fold it in half to find the center. Same with the quilt. Fold it in half to find the center so the border can line up nice and evenly. I'm going to pin instead of just sewing straight. I wanted to pin to make sure that to keep the quilt pretty much square. Just pin it down one side and then I'll go back and do the other. It doesn't matter how far apart you pin because once you get to sewing, you'll be removing the pins anyway. You just got to make sure that the fabrics are edge to edge. Sew this baby. Let's sew her down. This is the part why I don't like pins because you will get stuck. I don't care how you try to avoid it, and that mess hurts. To me anyway, it hurts. Okay, let's begin. See, just got stuck. Because you can't see the pins. You just, you know, feeling for this quilt. Again, making sure that the sides are nice and even. I am talking about the side that's under the needle. And it is important when you're quilting or sewing or whatever that you have a proper sewing table and of course sewing chair so your back, you won't injure your back or you won't, you know, like right now when I created this table, I wasn't thinking I should have had set, well I was thinking, I was just going off of another pattern. Well, still wasn't thinking. I should have had created my right side of my table, I'm sorry, the left side of my table a little bit longer than my right side because that is the side where most of the quilts sit, and you know, to keep it from getting bunched up like this after you spent all that time pressing it, one, and then two, you don't want to, the flatter you can lay the quilt, you know, the better. And that way you won't be doing a lot of fussing and a lot of pulling because if it pulls, you can be distorting the fabric and that's what you don't want. So keep that in mind. And there are many ways that, you know, if you have a standard sewing table or whatever, you can always add a table to the side to extend it. Just make sure it's approximately the same height. And that way, we're almost done. That way it won't pull or drop off the table. That'll be bad. Especially if you're sewing. And this machine I have, honey, it has a capability of going like super duper fast. I'm only at half speed. God knows, I would hate to see what this thing is like at full throttle. Something about right here. Okay, this is all we got to go. Let's put this baby at full throttle and see what she can do. Other than sew my finger together. Okay, this is it. Let's get this baby done. Bam! This baby is done. You can see, cut this leader off. As you can see, I have the outside border, the inner border, and then the quilt itself. I will show a picture of it hanging once I've ironed down the seams. And I will do that for the remaining 2 quilts, and we'll be done with the quilt tops of these 3 quilts. Yes, I'm so excited.